This is Geeks Represent, where we talk about representation and issues that matter to us geeks. We are
Sean,
Joe,
Marshall,
and your host, Daryl. Welcome back. We hope you had a great holiday season full of binge-able content. We sure did. Here are our winter 2021 picks that we watched over our break. Sean, why don't you start us off?
So this winter season, I watched The Witcher Season 2 shortly after I watched The Witcher Season 1. So I'll talk a little bit about both. Both seasons are 8 episodes long, and it follows the story of our Witcher, Geralt of Rivia, of Rivia, played by Henry Cavill, and his adventures throughout what they call the continent, which is basically like a medieval landmass that has a bunch of fantasy creatures like elves, vampires, and humans, of course, and people who are called witchers, who are basically like half human, half witch, because they've been like mutated to turn into witchers by actual witches. And there are a bunch of these different creatures that usually witchers hunt that are there on the continent due to an event called the Conjunction, which they kind of refer to throughout the series, where basically something aligned where a bunch of worlds like connected, and then that's why they are all populated on this basically Earth, when I guess before the Conjunction it was just, I believe, human. Anyways, season 1 follows a bunch of different timelines, which kind of gets confusing if you're not like really paying attention. So like my girlfriend and I, we tried watching The Witcher Season 1, I believe last year, and we kind of couldn't really like get into it because like I think we were just trying to put it on as a background, but you really definitely need to be paying attention for this show. And this actually kind of follows how the book is written, because the book that the Season 1 is based on is mainly just like a bunch of short stories that are just written out following random adventures of Geralt of Rivia, and then eventually this princess named Ciri that just went through basically a whole war where her grandparents got murked, and she's trying to like run for her life, run from the kingdom of Nilfgaard, and just basically try and find Geralt. And it also follows the story of Yennefer of Vengerberg, who is a witch, who is also tied to Geralt of Rivia, and Jaskier, who is a muse, who sings the song Toss a Coin to Your Witcher.
Toss a coin to your Witcher, oh valley of
Jaskier.
That the series is known for, which is a banger, by the way. And yeah, so it just follows their timeline and like their origin stories throughout season 1, and it converges more linearly towards the end. So season 2 is really nice because it's a lot easier to follow because it's more linear. Everyone's on the same timeline, but there are like a bunch of different side plots going on, but it's a little easier to track. I really like how season 2 plays out because it's more of the same of season 1, where it's like more action. You get to see this bond grow between Geralt and Ciri, which started in season 1, where Ciri and Geralt are trying to look for each other because they're tied together by destiny.
Law of surprise.
Yeah, they have this thing called the Law of Surprise, which apparently like takes over everything in terms of like how you can't run away from it, basically. And Geralt, who's someone who didn't believe in destiny before, is just like, fuck, I have to do this.
I love that scene. I love that scene where he's just like, fuck.
And him saying that is actually pretty much how he is throughout like all of the series, and this is like why I love Geralt, because he's just such a grumpy old man who's always just like, fuck.
Roach.
He's like so serious, and he's like actually hilarious because he's like so dry and serious, and like just how everyone like bounces off of him and their energy makes
especially
it like,
Jaskier.
yeah, it makes it such a nice contrast. Like Jaskier, yeah, like you said, being super bubbly, very animated, super emotional, and then he talks to Geralt, and Geralt is, I guess he's like a tsundere / a kudere if you had to compare them to anime tropes. at the same time. Like he's like reluctantly like really endearing, but he like really, really cares for the people that he cares for. So season 2, you get to see this bond, this father-daughter bond grow between Geralt and Ciri. Ciri trains to be a warrior. I don't want to spoil too much, but they end up going to the Witcher HQ. So you get to see the head Witcher.
Vesemir?
Yeah, Vesemir.
Yeah, come on.
He's super cool. You get to see all the other Witchers, whatever's left of them, which is not that much these days, because as explained in season 1, the mutation machine that created Witchers got destroyed, and I think the witches that created them also got killed off or something during a war.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was super awesome to just see the continuation of that. And yeah, season 2, if you like season 1, season 2 is definitely a killer season for sure, because it's just a continuation of everything great about season 1, like just to the next level.
Cool.
I think that's all I had for it. Yeah.
Nice.
I just want to add on, if you want to know what happened to like, their process, like why it got destroyed in creating more Witchers, that's actually detailed in the Netflix spinoff, the anime spinoff, Nightmare of the Wolf, which is also pretty cool. So, and it's actually about...
It's also a video game.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, it's about Vesemir when he was young. So, well, young relatively. I think he said he was like 70, but he has a body of like a 20-year-old. So
yeah, everyone's old as hell in the show.
Which did you like better, season 1 or season 2? And
I like season 2.
You like season 2 better?
Yeah, but I think
that's interesting
because I was saying it was like more linear in terms of like easier to follow. But like, I really like all the just like the plot points and just how like everyone's relationship kind of just really built together, and like you could really feel that like organic building. While season 1, I feel like since so many things were happening at different timelines, you didn't really get to see the building of the relationships. And I like the relationships for me because it made it like really funny and whimsical.
Were you familiar with the video games or the books before watching it at all?
I was not, but Jess was for sure.
And what did Jess think about season 2 as well? Because I'm hearing a lot of like, I liked it. I love season 2 as well. I actually like season 1 better. I think I like that non-linear feel because it made it like very intriguing. Like it kind of made it almost feel like there were other shows that did stuff like that, like with flashbacks and all that, or like you had to kind of piece it together yourself. But I like season 2, but apparently a lot of fans of the like hardcore fans of the book. I mean that always goes with like adaptations, right?
Yeah,
they're like very like mad that they changed like a lot of things about the book in order to accommodate for the show. And then you hear other detractors saying like the books weren't perfect, so they like the improvements. And there's just a lot of like, the purists versus the people who like changes like that. So which is disappointing on like, because I don't know if you noticed, but Henry Cavill's super nerdy.
Yeah, he's a super fan of the show. I mean,
yeah.
The games.
Apparently, season 2, he actually advocated that he got to talk more instead of grunt all the time.
Yeah.
And also like he actually like, not ad-lib, but like, fit in lines. Like, I think he would say this because he said this in this book and this in this chapter in this book. And so he would, so you could tell he loves the material. So I find it interesting.
And it really shows.
So I find it interesting that a lot of people were like, a lot of so-called like hardcore fans of the books and the games were like really mad about it. So what did you think about that? Like,
fans are always gonna hate on something because, like, as we're gonna get into in the next series, talk about the Wheel of Time. There's so much hate on it, but there's so much great in it. Like I've talked to like a bunch of people who really love the books and they really love the series, and then you'll always find someone who will not like it as much. And I don't know, like as an adaptation, I think it was really great and really well done, and like. It was just a fun ride, man. Like it's like they should be happy that it's on TV and it's like really popular.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I have one last question for me. Are you team Yennefer or team Triss?
Ooh, I mean, I like Yennefer because she's just chaotic as fuck.
Yeah.
If you played the game, you'll know the right decision to make. Because if you make the wrong decision, your game will be fucked.
Really? I never.
Oh
played
yeah,
the game
it's in. Yeah, The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. You have to choose between Trish and Yennefer, and I did both missions, and oh fuck me, like what the fuck?
Which one was wrong?
Like, can you be single? No, you got to pick one. Like, god damn it.
Oh, does one of them die? Sounds like Mass Effect.
No one dies, but like if you don't do, like if you choose someone over someone else, the story changes, and then you have to fight even harder bosses. And I'm like, I don't want to fight anyone harder. Like, fuck. I just want to find Siri.
Now I want to play the game now because the replayability sounds great. Just to see the different paths.
But it's a long game, Joe. It's The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It was one of the best games of. I don't even know when it came out, but it was one of the best games out on Xbox.
Never mind. I think I'll just watch season 3 when it comes out.
I mean, there's that too. Yes.
Man, it sounds like a good time. It also sounds like I'm also the only person that hasn't watched it on the show, on the podcast.
I highly recommend it.
I started it the first season years back, but I was like Sean and his girlfriend. I was also trying to watch casually, but that didn't really work out. I think I watched up to episode 2 or so. But
yeah,
given all the rave reviews I've heard from literally everyone, I'm gonna try and check it out.
I think Sean was right.
I recommend it.
You can't just have it on the background. You gotta pay attention. Unlike that fucking. Do you guys remember that like Entertainment Weekly review ages ago? That like tried to review The Witcher, and they just picked a random episode. I think they reviewed episode 5 about watching the first 4 episodes, and said like they didn't bother watching the rest of the show, but they decided to review it anyway. I'm like, well, that is literally your job, man.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing? And gave it like a bad review. It's like,
they suck. That's all I can say.
That's like, how do you?
Stupid mortals.
Goodness.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Daryl, what series have you been watching? I kind of alluded to it just a couple seconds ago.
Yeah, a bit of a teaser, bit of a lead up.
Nice segue.
But my pick. Wait, what?
I just said nice segue. But go on.
They broke it there. My pick is The Wheel of Time season 1, available on Amazon Prime or Amazon Prime Video or whatever.
Are they not the same thing?
Kinda. I think you can buy Prime Video without getting Prime, but I mean, it's like, let's aside from the point. It might be worth getting Prime if you don't have it for like the time it takes you to watch this season, because it's a pretty good show. I ended up actually reading the books for most of last year, all 15, because I was basically burnt out from a series that I was reading that went nowhere, did nothing, and was just generally a bad time. But this show is a pretty good adaptation of the first book in the series, not counting the prologue, like not the prologue, prequel.
Aren't there like 10
and
books?
Also that, pardon me?
Aren't there like 10 books too?
1 prequel, 14 main series books.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
Then like a compendium of like fun facts and like atlases and background knowledge and whatnot. So it makes the wiki a kind of a slog to get through. But yeah, I guess the big synopsis of the series is that it's takes place in a world where essentially reincarnation is a thing. So it's kind of a known factor that eventually people become reborn after they die into other bodies without any memories of their previous lives, essentially. But 5,000 years ago, there was an evil that guy, Lews Therin, also known as the Dragon, basically sealed away, and basically the seals were getting loose. And one of the magic users of the series, one of the female magic users of the series, is trying to figure out who is the Dragon Reborn so that they can actually defeat the evil. as well as prevent the evil forces that are still around from getting to that person. And so one interesting thing they did with this adaptation was make it a larger mystery of like who the Dragon Reborn is, because in the book you have a good idea of who it is after like the first quarter of the book, because this magic user, her name is Moraine, played by Rosamund Pike, and basically she goes with her warder Lan, was it played by Daniel Henney?
Yeah. Badass.
Yeah, he was.
Really great casting and just like really great characters. They go to like a small farming village and they find that basically 5 of the young people in the village could possibly be the dragon. So they ended up taking them with them and try and get them to a safe place, and while also trying to figure out who between the 5 of them are the dragon. So it's a lot of both the book and the movie show. There's a lot of good character work, a lot of like good world building, and just a good time if you want a good fantasy series. Like the casting is just great pretty much all around. Even some of the side characters who I liked in the books, when they showed up, I was like, oh, I'll say, oh, hey, that's Min. I know Min. Min's awesome. And like the main cast are, you can see them being the characters that they grow into in the books, even from the first couple episodes. I will say that they did have some production issues because they are wrapping up the first season around March 2020. So COVID kind of threw a bunch of wrenches into the mix, including having one of the main characters, I think Barney Harris, the person who plays Matt, he ended up leaving the show, and he left all social media, left no presence of himself online at all. And
I really hope he's okay.
I really do, because he seems like a nice guy, and it's pretty drastic. So, and I will say also that it feels like it would have been a perfect season if they got 2 more episodes. And that's what the showrunner actually was fighting for, but Amazon was like, no, for some reason. And so basically all that to say, the last 2 episodes feel a bit rushed, a bit off. It feels like the stuff that they added to fill out the world and to develop the characters more didn't allow them to get to all of the parts in the book that people really like. So, but if you're just watching the show, it's a pretty good show. But
I definitely
say,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say we have the same issues with diehard fans that John was talking about.
I definitely noticed the pacing issues as well, particularly that one part where one of the characters, I forget her, she's one of the 5, one of the mages, and she's in this scene talking to a red, and then all of a sudden she goes and finds the other two of the 5, and I'm I kept thinking, theorizing, oh, that's an imposter, because that's just really weird that she just goes from one to the other. It's no, that was just a really weird cut. Okay, all right. I guess I was looking way into it. But like you said, it is a good show. It's a very compelling show. So, and very interesting seeing the relationships, especially between Moraine and Lan and the people who are closest to them.
Yeah,
I was squealing.
Definitely a hell of a lot of action and romance in there. Similar to The Witcher, for sure. Lots of action. I think my first oh shit moment was the first episode when they introduced the Trollocs.
Yeah.
Everything was so happy-go-lucky. It looked like the fucking Shire. Everyone's just celebrating, and then all hear these 12-foot orc motherfuckers come in and just max everyone. I'm like, oh, holy shit.
Orc minotaurs. That's what I saw them at.
Yeah. They're just
pretty much
12-foot orc goat people, minotaurs. Yeah. I actually had to look up who would win in a battle, orcs or Trollocs after a win.
Right?
I was like, these guys are crazy.
I thought it was also really cool that the five, like one of the reasons why it was hard at the beginning to figure out which of the five is the Dragon Reborn is because they each have a unique ability. And I'm not gonna lie, when we saw Perrin's, I was like, hell fucking yeah! When all the wolves showed up, I was like, yeah! Eat everybody!
They do a lot of the characters justice, not gonna lie.
I really hope Loyal makes it to the second season, and I hope he does.
Yeah, I really like Loyal.
Yeah. I'm. Part of me wishes I didn't read the books because now I'm like, I have to avoid saying stuff. Like, there's a lot.
Because you know what's happening. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah, if things go completely off the rails, then I know who dies by the end of the series that we like and shows up in this season.
Yeah, I'm really hoping like Loyal is gonna beginning of second season is gonna be like, huh, you humans are so silly that you don't know that Ogiers have 3 hearts. And he laughs about it. Like, I can see that.
Honestly, it's like one of my favorite characters, like in and out of both in the books and in the show. So yeah, hope he makes it.
But yeah, the world building is definitely excellent. I agree with that. I think that's one of the things that made me feel very compelled to keep going as well. You know, but you did mention this a little bit about the diehard fans. Like, can you give an example of like what they were like so pissed off about, or is it just your standard like it's not 100% loyal?
There's some things that are like were really cool to see in the books, like. Basically, 2 of the characters, Rand and Matt. Well, but also say there's a point where a lot of the characters get separated from each other from the main group, and basically Rand and Matt and his name is escaping me at the moment, but the Glee man you see in like episode 3 or 4, Tom Maryland, of course. I can't. Why could I? He's such a key person. He was actually Tom Maryland was actually in the town when they all left, and he was like, hey, let me travel with guys, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. But there's like a lot of good like character development, and this like just like you get to know the characters a lot more as they are escaping on their different paths, and there's a lot more depth to the relationships that they have with each other that you see that was kind of cut out, but was understandably cut out because it would take a long time. And you see, like, Rand let's learn how to play the flute and juggle because he learned from Tom Maryland. So that's cool. So the not great things, which are not acceptable, were the people complaining about the race of the actors playing some of the characters because people are racist and people think that people think that just because they thought they had a white person in their mind means that it was originally a white person. But when they don't really specify the race, or they actually do say this character is darker skinned than the other people in the town that are lighter skinned, maybe they miss some inferring of some character descriptions there. So yeah, that nonsense.
Yeah, it's just really baffling how, like, you know, people are complaining about how a fantasy world has multiple races other than white. Like, I read somewhere about someone was complaining about The Witcher in that regard because, you know, in The Witcher there's elves, right? And they were saying like, oh, like elves are all supposed to be like fair skinned, like why are they like black elves or whatever? I'm just like, shut the fuck. Like, in the lore, The Witcher is also supposed to be like elves are also supposed to be all over the world. Why did you think that they were all going to be white? and in regards to Wheel of Time, like, again, this is a whole other world. This is not like it's just weird to complain about that. Like, it's a fantasy world. You can believe that people can shoot fire out of their hands or that there's like a reincarnation of the dragon of that will end the world or whatever, but you can't believe that this town would have like, I don't know, diversity. And it's just really annoying. And I think I read somewhere like best, like, no, like, of course, like a story doesn't have to have diversity, but if it does, it's not pandering either. It just is like,
Yeah.
And why does it even have to add to the story? You know, why can't people just be people of different races?
Especially if they just act really well. They just storytell well.
That's the other thing. They're like, oh, like they should give it to actors who are good, not just fill a quota. And I'm like, why did you assume that just because they gave it to, say, like a black actor, they weren't qualified to play that character?
Yeah. Like,
So I found this out a little bit ago on the same point. So back when the trailers were released and the casting was shown, there was a big split in the Wheel of Time subreddit. And so a lot of the people who were like, we don't agree with the choices done on this adaptation of this show, largely it seemed to be fueled by the people who didn't like the races of the people cast for these characters. A lot of them got banned, and a lot of them formed another subreddit called, well, it was Our White Cloaks.
Oh,
which
boy.
Is so
Weren't the
loaded.
White Cloaks the bad guys? Aren't the White Cloaks the bad guys?
They are the bad guys. They're literally the racist bad guys in the so like
Very self-aware.
Yeah. Oh, it's so absurd.
It's really sad that fantasy and sci-fi is so inundated with, you know, racist incels, right? It's just like racist and sexist
too.
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny though that they call themselves the White Cloaks. I'm like, those are literally the baddies.
And it's not like there's another group that doesn't like black people that are known for wearing white clothes.
Yeah. Jeez.
Mm-hmm. Jeez, completely missed the point.
Yeah.
But
And it's funny too that they have an issue against that when like this book itself is like so empowering for like women as well. Like that's where they would pick issues with.
It's bizarre. Oh, I guess I kind of didn't mention some of the more compelling parts of it, of like the reasons, like the plot. So when the Dark One was sealed away, he corrupted magic, but specifically the part of the magic that men use. So,
and that's why they go crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. So that's why it's very concerning if the dragon turns out to be a guy, because like, hey, the person who's gonna help save the world is going to go insane doing it. So yeah. And over the books, you definitely see well, I guess I gave a little bit away. Well, you definitely see the Dragon Reborn struggling with that. But also, I will say that they did update a lot of things from a book that was like written mostly in the 80s and was published in like 1989 or 1990. So a lot more modern, well, casting choices, a little bit more diversity, a little bit more
LGBTQ representation.
Yes,
okay.
That as well. Definitely didn't. You saw some implications of that in the books, but nothing was explicitly shown or done. Well,
it was very explicitly shown in the series.
Yeah. Like even sex and like relationships weren't shown in the book.
There's only one woman I kneel for, and you are not her. I was like, yeah.
Oh man.
Which is, I think that's a good point about adaptations too, like why you shouldn't be too loyal to the source material, depending on when that source material was written. right?
Yeah.
Because even like things get updated, audience, like times change, and we should change with them, right? Not stick so closely out of like like gatekeeping, like Sean was saying. But
yeah, especially when things have changed a lot in 30 years culturally in the United States. But
yeah.
I mean, like
Exactly.
even basic like fairy tale stories got adapted and changed so many times that like they're definitely different from the original, like Cinderella. So it's like it makes sense that it would be done like that.
You mean the Disney version doesn't have the Disney version of Cinderella doesn't have the stepmother and sisters have their eyes pecked out by crows?
And Ariel doesn't die at the end of The Little Mermaid.
Right? Did she get turned into sea foam in the original story or something like that?
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, and one last thing. It was a bit of a treat I discovered after I finished the series. So Brandon Sanderson, he was the author that was brought in to finish the series after the original author, Robert Jordan, died. So he wrote the last 3 books. And so he was brought on to like consult on scripts. And he has the notes for the first couple episodes on his website. So you can see like, hey. So you actually see the notes like, hey, I asked them to add this thing to the scene, and a lot of things he added were good. Like I really liked like in the first episode where Lan is covering Moraine like as they're fighting, and the part where she brings a wall down and he runs over to cover her, and that was like one of the things that he added to the scene. I was like, oh, that's kind of like my favorite thing. So cool. And he
wrote
does
that.
have
That was an
like
awesome
a commentary.
moment.
It was like it exemplified like the long relationship that these people have had, that they know how to fight and work together. And he has a commentary of the whole. He has a commentary of the last episode and just like his thoughts on like the whole series and the process that everything's going through on his YouTube page. So it's good to check out.
Cool. So what you're saying is those hater purists can suck it.
Right?
I'll say so. But yeah,
Cool.
a little long-winded, but it's a long-winded series. So
Well, hopefully it keeps going, because like pacing aside, it's still a good story so far. I'm excited to see more of it.
yeah, if they're gonna adapt, I think books 2 and 3 next season is what I hear. So
Yeah, I think they got greenlit for season 3 already, right? And season 2, the
that's
production
dope.
is like double of season 1.
yeah, they need
I think Amazon does that in general with their successful shows. They just like, oh, this was good. Give us 2. Give us more. More.
Open
Yeah.
State's good. But Joe, how about your series?
Well, this series is also an adaptation, but not of a book or of a game. Oh, yeah, okay. Not of a book, but of a game. But of a video game. Yes, I'm talking about... Shut up. So, I am talking about Arcane, also known as Arcane League of Legends, which is awesome. One of the best animated series I have seen, which actually is kind of unfair to other animated series, because a lot of people are taking it as like a new standard, and that's kind of unfair considering that Riot Games had like 5 or 6 years to work on it. So versus most other shows, which only have like, you only have like a year per season, right? If that. So, but basically it's based on the League of Legends game, which is like actually, Marshall, how would you describe it? It's like an arena style, like co-op.
Yeah.
Right.
MMORPG.
Is
with
it
like an
RPG?
objective?
Not really.
Technically, it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's a MOBA.
Okay, a MOBA. That's right. That's the term. It's a MOBA.
Yeah. Better than Dota. Just saying.
Fighting.
Love you, League of
Fair
Legends.
enough. Hey, better than the Dota anime too. I saw that too, and not gonna lie, I was a little let down by the last season. But anyway, so Arcane is it's cool because the game isn't. It has a lot of lore, but it's not like a story. There's not like a storyline, right? Like, as a bunch of different champions, and they have very complex backstories, but you don't really know too much about like them in a linear fashion, right? So what's cool is that League of Legends takes a lot of those characters. Just so it happens, the main character is Vi, who also happens to be one of my favorite junglers in the game.
Jinx, all day, baby. Jinx, what up, girl? All day.
I'm not gonna comment too much more on the gameplay, because one reason why I kind of left the game was because, you know, people can be toxic as hell. But
they can be,
but
yes.
But that's what's cool. That's another great point about the series, is because it was written not just for the players in mind, but for anyone who wants to get into it. Like, you don't have to know anything about the game in order to watch it, which I find very, very cool. And it actually explains on. It creates its own backstories too. So, like I said, the main character is Vi, played by Haley Steinfeld, and in this series, they established that she is sisters with Powder, who eventually grows up to be Jinx, another very popular League champion, who's crazy as hell. Yeah, who's crazy as hell. And basically, it goes through like the first. It's really cool. So it's 9 episodes long and split into 3 acts. And the first act pretty much details their childhood and like them growing up together and what leads to their eventual separation. And acts 2 and 3 are basically as time goes on, Vi ended up in prison for spoilers. Vi ended up in prison while Jinx ended up becoming essentially an assassin and a mercenary for Silco, who's basically the crime boss of. Well, okay, so it takes place. There's 2 cities. There's Piltover, which is like, you know, very affluent, very like clean. It's like their government's ran by academics and the wealthy, while but there's actually a city underneath that city called Zon, which is where all like the slums, the poor people, the criminals, they all live there. And so Silco has basically taken over as like the crime boss, one of the major crime bosses of Zon. And he's essentially, it's interesting because at first you think that his relationship with Jinx is that of like a user, right? He's just manipulating Jinx for his own ends to like further his goals. But as time goes on, as perverse as it is, you can actually see that Silco loves Jinx as a daughter and like actually cares about her, and in a very like twisted sense of love, like a very toxic love, right? That's what's amazing. Like, the characters are actually written extremely well, and you also see that like I said, you see like great relationships between Vi and Caitlyn. By the way, Vi is played by Haley Steinfeld, and Caitlyn is actually played by Katie Leung, who, for people who don't know, is Cho Chang from the Harry Potter series. So, and Ella Purnell, who I've only seen her in Army of the Dead as Batista's daughter. She's Jinx. And it's just, the animation is just so phenomenal. The soundtrack is phenomenal. Like, every episode has some sort of accompanying song, like a fight that goes into like, it's actually heartbreaking. There's this one scene where you find Echo, like two champions from the games. Echo fights Jinx, and knowing what you know, like seeing the previous episodes about their relationship and how like they were like really good friends when they were kids, but you know, obviously as the years passed by, their lives had changed now that they're all grown up. And so the way it was animated, the fight was a crisscross between them as adults and them as children, like play fighting, kind of like spliced with each other. And it just made it so like cool, visually stunning, musically stunning, like with the background music. I forgot what the song is. Like, it was a really cool rap song, but it was just heartbreaking seeing, like, in slow-mo, them fighting as kids and then rewinding it, switching back to them as adults, going ultra fast and seeing them actually try to kill each other. And I was just like, and that's just one of the few, like, one of my favorite sequences in the whole show, out of many others. Like, great battles. It's CGI, but if you pause it, each frame almost looks like a painting. Like, that's how good the animation is. Like it almost looks like a 2-dimensional concept art. So, like I said, Riot Games spent a shit ton of money on this. And again, that makes it unfair for other, like, animation studios. But I mean, like, Riot did a really good job. And yeah, so it ends on a big cliffhanger, and they already announced that the next season will be in 2022, or after, I think, like 2023. So yeah, so can't wait for that, and to see, like, what other characters they'll bring in, because if anyone who plays League of Legends, there's way too many characters.
There is. We love League of Legends too. Just saying. Hashtag sponsors.
Right.
Hashtag AD
Riot,
carry for life.
Riot, we know you got that money. All right.
We
Good
do.
luck, have fun. So GLHF, right? So
I got one question.
Go ahead.
Does Timo show up?
Oh God, there's a picture of him, and I freaking had a heart attack. I was like,
there was a picture of him? Did I miss
There was a
that?
picture. You did.
When? I missed it.
It was, they were in. You got to go back and watch it then. They already had Heimerdinger, and I hate his ass. Freaking mid or top.
What's wrong? I like people who play Heimerdinger well know how to play Heimerdinger, dude.
I hate him so much.
Did you hate him in the
damn
show?
turrets.
I liked him in the show though. Sweet, cute old man.
The show was great, but then I saw Victor, and I was like, "Oh
yeah, oh yeah." When he said his name was Victor, I was like, "Ooh."
And I saw that Kane, I was like, "Oh, I know what happens. I have that skin."
Yo. Do you think that one dude? I forgot his name already. Like their surrogate dad. Do you think he's Warwick? Like
100%, he is. That was his backstory. Yeah. He was the crime boss before Silco. Yeah, and they're like, oh, he got mutated. I saw, there was at the end. You got to watch it, but I was just like.
Yeah. It was,
like, oh my God.
No, the show is so badass. And what a hell of a voice cast. I almost forgot, like, Kevin Alejandro as Jace. For those who don't know, Kevin Alejandro is Detective Dan, or Detective Douche in Lucifer. So he was also Brother Blood in Arrow. So I was very excited to see. They even made Jace look like him. Actually, like, they look similar.
They really did. But play League of Legends. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Play it. You don't. Like I said, that's the great thing about the series. You don't have to play the game to enjoy the series and enjoy the characters. But speaking of, like, it goes into all this, like, the politics between Piltover and Zahn, and, like, you know, Jace. I couldn't help but feel bad for him, because he has such, like, a vision of, like, a utopian society should be, and how, like, they should extend Piltover's greatness to Zahn. But when he actually gets into, like, the weeds of it, like, what does that mean? Like, in order to do that, you'd literally have to kill, like, the people who are fighting for Zahn, like, fighting for their independence, and
commit genocide.
And commit genocide, yeah. So it's like, it's not that so simple. All for the sake of, like, providing, like, renewable energy to, like, everyone. But, you know, he's kind of like
forced gentrification.
That's a good term for it. Yes, it was
literally forced, because they killed everybody else. We don't like you. Get the fuck out.
But it's hard to like argue against it, because at the same time, even Vi was fighting for Jace at one point because to help him, because, you know, she grew up starving in Zahn, right? So she's fighting to basically have, like, mouths fed, right?
But when she
and also fighting
gloves,
to get back.
I just
Oh yeah, As soon as she put
those gloves, I was like,
fists.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to text you like, Joe, your purse is on there.
I was like, ah.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't need them, but it still helps her.
She doesn't even need.
I was like,
she doesn't even need them. She's so strong. And then also, not gonna lie, I love her relationship with Caitlyn.
oh my god,
in the games,
Cupcake.
In the games, she calls her Cupcake, and it's like implied very early on that like it starts off as a friendship, but you can tell it's more than that. And so they expanded on that over like the game, because in the game they're paired up a lot, right? Like they're they're
the best partners. And if you fight Jinx, they have a little icon that's saying Jinx is on the run. You got to catch her. And I'm like,
yeah. So in the game, the lore for the game is that they're essentially both cops, like they're equivalent of like cops for Piltover. So it's really cool seeing that, while Caitlyn is, like I said, their backstories are so fleshed out. Like Caitlyn comes from like a rich family, but she doesn't want to just be like, an aristocrat. She wants to be a cop because she wants to make a difference and fight. And Vi is a poor kid from Zon. She also has a really strong sense of justice too. But that's not what she's focused on this time. What she's really focused on is getting Jinx back, like getting her sister back, who, the way it ends is just really, really sad. Like that, and it kind of makes me think that it's established that Jinx is just too far gone. Like she's rabid.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
As much as you feel bad for her, like she was just a kid, like when she made like the worst mistakes of her life. But then after that, those weren't mistakes. They were, as unhinged as she is, she's completely responsible for like all the lives she has taken. Yeah. Some of them like for nothing. Like she saw one girl who was a redhead look slightly like Vi, and she shot her in the face. Like, yeah, she did. Just because of that. She was innocent. She was on the ground. She surrendered, like unarmed. She's like, "You look like my sister," and like, so
such a loser, always ready to cut.
Yeah,
her song is awesome though.
The music, like I said, the music is top notch. I think a lot of the songs were like produced by Riot. Like I said, it's kind of unfair that they have so much money and they like produce their music in house. Actually, it's funny. I'm not gonna say where I work, but a representative from Riot. There was actually like a work lecture, like a lecture sponsored by our firm, where a representative from Riot actually came to talk about agile development, but he was just going into detail how like how Riot started and what their thought process is, and it's like we want our own orchestral music, and so they set up their own orchestra in house. They set up their own like orchestra like set like music studio on Riot property, and then they're like, we want stadiums where people can play each other, so they built it. They didn't rent out, they didn't like buy, they didn't like look for partners. They built their own, like, and that business model seems to be working really well for Arcane. Like I said, like all their animators, like all their music, like, oh no. And it's just phenomenal what they're doing. Really sucks about their internal problems though, but
Yeah.
So, like,
I guess when you own every part of the process, you get all of the money and responsibility. So
yeah. And all the toxicity too, because it is, at the end of the day, it's a tech company and it's not immune to the problems within a tech company. But but like I said, highly recommend it. Whether you love the game or you have you give no shits about the game, I highly recommend Arcane. Excellent series.
Man, so that almost makes me want to get back into playing League of Legends.
Me too. It's such a
play with me.
Time sake, man. It's such a time commitment. Like when matches are fast, they end fast. When they go on forever, like they could go on to like an hour, dude.
Just play good. They won't.
And I don't like 12-year-olds telling me I suck. Because I do, man. Like I try really hard to be a good 80. I try very hard to be a good AD carry. It usually never works out. Usually, that's why I just stick to junglers and supports.
That's why you'll be my AD. You'll be my support or my jungler, because I'll help you with my Caitlyn shots. Or Jinx.
All right. I'll jungle for you.
Yay.
Let's move on. Marshall, what have you been watching?
All right, well, I've been watching Clickbait on Netflix. It's a limited series, one of the few I've been watching, like 8 episodes. It starts out with a video showing a man from Entourage with a sign that says, once this video reaches 5 million views, I will die. And pretty much it's just about how they're trying to find out how this happened, where is he, and there's like a whole spin-off. And they go through the sister, the mom, the kids, everybody. And it shows everybody's story about this video. And it's just completely a whirlwind of deception, family issues, drama. It's also about online profiles and dating. But Jesus, it was just like, what the fuck? I loved it. Because I used to do that type of shit for work and had to locate shit in videos. But I was like, God damn, this is amazing.
So
highly recommend.
You're saying it goes into like people, like how much information you can have on somebody online?
Pretty much,
also,
yeah.
It sounds horrible. I feel like if someone said, if you watch this video, man, if it gets 5 million views, he dies. Like, I'm not watching it. I'm not going to contribute.
Yeah, but also at the same time, though, like, you may not watch it, but Daryl might watch it, or, Sean might watch it. I mean, like, now I have to watch it.
So he's going to get killed by FOMO.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything. There is no spoilers on this side.
I mean,
it's good.
I remember seeing
Mr. Beast title, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Almost sounds like a Black Mirror. Almost sounds like Black Mirror in a way too, just like commentary on like social media and tech.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but once you watch it all the way through, you're just like spitting out all your drink. Like, what the hell? It's fantastic.
I haven't seen the series myself, but I remember seeing the trailer. Don't they also go into like what he was abusive or something like that? Or
yeah, that's what they're saying. He also had another sign saying that I abuse women and all this other stuff too. I've killed a woman before.
So is it try to like, I can see why it's called clickbait then, because it's trying to get people to watch it to kill him because, he's guilty of this, then he should die. Like,
exactly.
Dang. Again, it sounds like a Black Mirror episode, man. That was the same exact.
It's about 40 minutes an episode. Just saying, 8 episodes. Okay. A good Friday night watch. Okay. Don't drink anything because you do not want to miss anything.
Aside from what's her name, Zoe Kazan, I think is in it. Is that her name?
Think so. Yeah.
From Big Sick. Aside from her, it's cool seeing that actor who I haven't seen since Bring It On. I think.
Yeah.
The guy who's in the chair, right? The guy who's about to get.
Yeah, he's from Entourage too.
And also the lady who I can't remember her name either. Yeah, Entourage. Yeah, that's right. It was on Entourage, not Bring It On. I think that's somebody else. But
that's someone else, dude. Yeah.
But also like the lady from Get Out, the woman from Get Out, right? The one who was like, no.
Yep, she's in there.
Like,
you mean Jon Stewart's daughter?
So you enjoyed it?
Jon Stewart's daughter or someone else from Get Out?
Jon Stewart?
I thought that was his daughter. That was the white lady in Get Out.
Oh no, the black woman.
The maid. The black woman. The maid.
The maid slash
the
grandma.
The maid slash the grandma. No.
Betty Gabriel.
Yeah. She's creepy, but she's a good actress. But yeah. All right, cool. So it says a limited series. So it didn't end in like a cliffhanger or anything like that.
Oh no,
it's done.
Oh, they ended it perfectly. They might have a season 2. Who knows? But I mean, it'd probably be someone new or who knows who it could be.
Make it sound like, yeah. I feel like I can't ask any more questions because that's a definite spoiler.
Spoilers.
Like, for example, did he deserve it? And I'm like, again, it's like,
click and watch.
It's like the episode of Black Mirror, like White Bear, right? Where like they stick prisoners in like the amusement park, and you're there to like torture them. And I was like, how far is too far? This is kind of messed up, man. No matter what someone did. But
exactly. But yeah, I just say watch it and have a good time.
Okay, sounds like a good commentary on like social media's fucked up views of justice.
Yep.
Man, you saying that's a limited series kind of just put it close to the top of my watch list for me, because I'm glad to have something that's like not trying to be running for like
right. The best series and shows know when to end and end quickly, right? One Piece?
No.
First off, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You damn heathen.
Who's got time to watch 1,000+ episodes, man?
Die-hard fans who have
that much
commitment.
One Piece knows.
Die-hard fans who got to start back in 1999 when they were 10.
Yeah. Okay, first off, it's just getting better. I'm sorry.
It's too late for me. It's too late. You're gonna have to leave me behind.
It's never too late. Hop on the Going Merry. Let's ride it to the sunset.
Yeah.
That's not a sunset. That's a galactic travel, man. That's not riding into the sunset. That is a ship from one end of the galaxy to the other.
A good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, some Bink Sake. Binkasake.
I watched the live action reboot.
Don't you dare speak that blasphemy.
What?
No. Don't speak blasphemy on this podcast.
If it's actually a pretty good cast into the rest of One Piece, I'll be happy with it. As long as the story's good.
Oh no! I'm not watching 1,000 episodes, man. You know how long it took to watch Naruto? I had to skip all the fillers.
I'm sorry. Yeah. All the time. Also, there are no fillers on One Piece.
I find that hard to believe, sir.
There is. Daryl, are there any fillers? They all literally progression.
I will say the little filler that they have is really good. People say you should watch this filler because it actually adds a lot to the story.
It does. Just saying. You see the character development.
So if I watch it, I can't skip fillers. Hell no!
You won't want to. The dude literally crushed some dude's fucking head with a punch. Just one punch. He's like, you said I can't throw a punch?
Just one punch? You know who else does that? One Punch Man. I can watch that.
He can blow up his damn body to the size of a giant. Little gear third, just slap the shit out your ass.
Isn't Luffy just Plastic Man? Like he ate a fruit.
No, he's rubber.
Ate a fruit, right?
He ate the devil fruit of rubber. The Goma Goma.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. He has the exact same like origin as like Plastic Man or Elongated Man, where like they drink like
no,
he
doesn't.
Like soda.
He can't freaking. He can't make himself into a boat. He just beats the shit out of you with his hands.
No. Daryl's looking because he's like, actually, yes, Plastic Man can.
No. Well, Plastic Man does a lot more stuff. Like he can shapeshift and whatnot. Luffy can't do that.
But Luffy can't do that. He just blows his bones up to the size of a mountain and just hurls it at you. That's about it.
It's like
how does that make sense?
Because it's a bone. It's a bone balloon. It's the move.
It's a bone balloon.
He bites into his thumb and he blows air because he's made of rubber.
Yeah. So like everything acts like rubber, but still has the properties of like skin or bone or muscle and whatnot. So
he can blow it.
Yeah, it's like pinching someone with a blimp.
Mm-hmm. And he has a great crew: Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Nami, Chopper, Frankie, Robin, Bruku, and then a secret person.
Yes. One of the best people.
Oh my God.
And how many episodes do I had to go to meet him? Like 200? Hell no.
Actually foreshadowed like in a couple arcs in, and like because they talk about the 7 warlords of the sea like early on, and he's tied to that group, and that was like before chapter 100.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, I can't. I
just
not until I have more time, man. And I'm probably going to lose a lot more time in the near future. Wink, wink.
They talk about genocide, like racism,
no time,
abuse. They dive into everything. Just saying. everything.
I'm
It's
sure
beautiful.
it does. In 1,000 episodes, I would hope they covered a wide range of topics.
It's just everything. And he always gets right back up, no matter
It
what.
probably is
Gets his ass beat, he'll get up.
1,000 plus episodes, they better cover everything. I'm just saying, man. Whatever.
Oh,
This went off the rails.
Yeah, I will say that a lot of people last year were discovering One Piece just from not from the manga side, but from like the literature side. Because like I've seen someone say the only reason why One Piece isn't like on the or Eiichiro Oda, the author of One Piece, isn't on the top list of modern fantasy authors is because it's a manga and not a novel. Story wise,
Yep.
it's that good.
It's that good.
And you know why people are getting back into One Piece, are able to get into One Piece? Because they lost their jobs during the pandemic. That's why.
They watched
They got the
One
time.
Piece.
They got the time.
Hey, if you can watch Grey's Anatomy for freaking the same thing over and over again, you can watch One Piece.
Yeah,
It's literally the same,
newsflash,
but
I
better.
do I look like the type of motherfucker who watches Grey's Anatomy? Hell no.
I don't know, but
I'm
did
not
you
no
want to see
fan of
Cyborg?
I'm no fan of McDreamy. Hell no.
I mean, they have a cyborg, a skeleton man, man.
Cyborg's pretty cool. Skeleton.
Yeah, cyborg.
Wait a minute. Both are in He-Man and Masters of the Universe.
He only has the front half of his body though, and a fridge belly.
All right,
He has a fridge belly.
We kind of gone a little bit off the rails on our recommendations. I think Marshall and I would recommend you going into One Piece. Joe has a different opinion.
If you got the time, God bless you.
And also read the manga. You can read pretty much everything on the Viz app or the Shonen Jump app. For
you better, because who has room for 500 books?
I am actually trying to get the box set of the 90 plus volumes.
That's like what, 2 crates?
That'd be amazing.
What's that, like 2 crates? 3 crates?
They're 3 tastefully decorated box sets.
Oh, I would love that.
They have some of the things
Has
that
to come to you in a
mentioned.
shipping container.
Maybe a bear.
I have Luffy time skip.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very apt for the show notes or the episode art. But
Oh, hell no, I'm not including that. I'm telling her 4 and that's it. It's Fave 4, not Fave 4 plus One Piece.
I think if Sean keeps us all in, it's pretty much that.
I'll have his face in the corner. How about that? Like I did Weasel.
Yeah,
There you go.
Oh my god.
you negotiated well. But so everybody, if you guys have a favorite show from this past the winter season, let us know. And also, thanks for turning into Geeks Represent. If you've enjoyed our discussion, all of our deviations, all of our fun starts and stops, it's been a really wild recording session. So if you guys liked it and everything comes in well, just let us know. You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts can be found. If you want to add to the discussion, visit geeksrepresent.com. That's where you can find our social media links. Thanks for listening, everybody.